Hello everybody and welcome to Selman's Sunday Music, and in our first official episode we're going to be talking about the recent Kesha news, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and all things Guns N' Roses, and that's all coming up right now. Okay everybody, so welcome to the first official episode of Selman's Sunday Music. I apologise for being a week late with this episode. I did record an episode last week, but I tried putting some full songs in the episode, and when I uploaded it to YouTube it was not having it, and I think I got 4 copyright strikes, so I had to abandon that episode, and I've spent the last week kind of restructuring the podcast, and that brings us to right here, right now, with the first official episode. So I don't know if I mentioned this in the pilot episode, but what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to record each episode on a Saturday, edit it on Sunday morning, and then release it on Sunday afternoon, probably around 5 o'clock UK time. So I thought I'd just let you guys know that to make everything clear. And we're going to start this episode with looking at the top 5 singles charts here in the UK. So let me bring the tab up here. Now, we're going to start at number 5 with Lush Life by Zara Larsson. This is her 14th week in the chart, and she is at number 5. At number 4, we have 7 Years by Lucas Graham. This is his 11th week in the chart. Now, unfortunately, I really liked that song when I first heard it. I think there's just something about the melody of the song that just really caught my attention when I first heard it. But it really has just become a victim to too much radio play. And it's just one of the many songs of recent years that it's just become so annoying because of too much radio play. But yeah, so that's Lucas Graham's 11th week in the chart with 7 Years. Now at number 3 we have Work From Home by Fifth Harmony featuring T.Y. $. That's its 6th week in the chart. At number 2 we have Cheap Thrills by Sia. This is her 8th week in the chart. And at number 1, this is its 10th week in the chart, we have I Took a Pill in Ibiza by Mike Posner. So those are our top 5 singles here in the UK. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be playing a segment of each of those songs throughout our breaks during the podcast. So we're going to go to a break right now, and I'm going to play a little bit of Lush Life by Zara Larsson. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about all the recent Kesha news this week, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and all things Guns N' Roses. All that when we come back. I would love to let you guys listen to more, but unfortunately, copyright strikes suck. Anyway, back to the show. Okay everybody, so welcome back to Selman's Sunday Music, and right now we're going to talk about our first bit of music news, which is the recent Kesha news that's been coming out. So for those of you guys that don't know, Kesha recently filed 2 lawsuits. The first lawsuit was against Dr. Luke, which was her producer, for an alleged rape, and her second lawsuit was against Sony Music to try and get her released from her contract, so that she would no longer have to work with Dr. Luke. Now on the 3rd of April, Kesha posted on Instagram something that seems to suggest that she was offered a deal where if she said that she wasn't raped publicly, then she would be released from her contract. Now this is what the Instagram post says. It says, "So, I got offered my freedom if I were to lie. I would have to apologise publicly and say that I never got raped. This is what happens behind closed doors. I will not take back the truth. I would rather let the truth ruin my career than lie for a monster ever again." Now at this stage it's unclear who made that offer to Kesha, but if it was the record label, which when you look at how bad Sony are looking at the moment, kind of you could see why they would want to make a deal like that. They are kind of shooting themselves in the foot again within this case. So that was on the 3rd of April, and then on the 4th of April, Dr. Luke's spokesperson issued a statement saying that up until this point, Kesha has not presented any facts supporting her claims, and that Dr. Luke believes that all the evidence that's been presented so far shows that her allegations are false. Now, Dr. Luke has always proclaimed that Kesha's case is money motivated, but I guess in reality the only person that really knows that is her. So that was on the 4th, and now we're going to go back. Now we're going to go forward a little bit to the 6th of April, where the singer she lost her appeal. Now, a little to sort of go back a little bit. Her initial, for you guys that don't know, her initial attempt to get released from her contract with Sony was denied by the judge, and she appealed the trial. She appealed the ruling, and on the 6th of April, she lost that appeal. Now the judge sided with Sony, and the reason the reason why that seems to be the case is because now that Sony have agreed, or that now that we believe that Sony's agreed to drop Dr. Luke, the judge now sees no reason why she shouldn't work. She shouldn't continue working under the Sony banner. There was also a hate crime plea from Kesha during the appeal, which the judge denied. Now, as I did mention earlier, Sony reportedly are planning to drop Dr. Luke, which kind of seems like the logical thing to do at this point. Now, on the 8th, which was yesterday, which was Friday the 8th, Dr. Luke's label announced plans to downsize and to conduct some staff layoffs, and part of their statement says that some of these functions will be handled by Sony as part of their joint venture relationship. Now, they've also said that these cuts are reportedly unrelated to Kesha's case, and the article on Enemy once again made it very clear that Dr. Clear continues to claim that Kesha's case is money motivated. Now, this is such a lengthy and in-depth case that I kind of feel overwhelmed giving an opinion on it. Now that other artists have come out and said that they've had similar experiences with Dr. Luke, I don't see any reason why she shouldn't be believed. And another thing as well, it kind of makes sense because it's been a while since she's released music, and to be honest, it didn't really make sense because Kesha was on quite a run up until she stopped making music, and when the case came up, it kind of came to me. It didn't really make sense why she would suddenly disappear off the face of the earth when she was on a pretty good run. So it wouldn't have really made sense to just stop making music for no apparent reason, because she was on a pretty good run up until that point. So yeah, I do believe what Kesha's saying, and I think Sony have continually shot themselves in the foot throughout the case, by not dropping Dr. Luke. I think it's like a football team, soon after the Adam Johnson trial came to the horizon, Sunderland dropped him, and I think Sony should have done the exact same thing. Get at least one bit of baggage out of the way. I think that just would have been the easiest thing for Sony to do, but apparently they don't seem to be taking the easy way out of this. So we'll see how the story develops over time. So now we're going to go to another short break. I'm going to play you a little sample of number 4 in the charts this week, which is 7 Years by Lucas Graham. And when we come back from this break, we're going to be talking about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and all things Guns N' Roses. So all that when we come back. Yep, me again. Fucking sucks, doesn't it? Anyway, back to the show. Okay, everybody, so welcome back to Selman's Sunday Music. And coming up right now, we're going to talk about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which happened this past Friday, which is the 8th of April. Now, the three most important entrants for me, personally, were Deep Purple, Cheap Trick, and N.W.A. Cheap Trick, because despite not knowing much about Cheap Trick, there are an absolute shit ton of popular rock musicians out there that have listed Cheap Trick as one of their inspirations. So it's good to see a band that's inspired so many other artists finally get into the Hall of Fame. And then N.W.A. I thought was interesting because I'm not really too sure whether they should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I just don't, I get why they are, because a lot of the members of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, are pretty tight with Rolling Stone magazine, as we all know. But so it tends to be a little biased sometimes. But yeah, I just don't really get it. Like, I respect N.W.A. I think they're really talented guys, but I just don't really understand why they're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But one thing that was noted at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was that N.W.A. kind of called out Gene Simmons in sort of reaction to the comments he made a couple of weeks ago about him looking forward to the death of rap music. And N.W.A. kind of came out and said that hip hop is alive and well and stuff, which was interesting to say whilst they're being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I thought that was kind of just fucking strange, but for me the highlight of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was Deep Purple. I'm a huge Deep Purple fan. Now, the people there in attendance to accept the induction were Ian Gillan, Roger Glover, Ian Pace, John Lord's wife Vicky was there on stage with them, along with David Coverdale and Glenn Hughes. Now, what I found strange about just that in itself was that there's kind of a blend there of Mark II and Mark III lineup members. It's pretty well known in the Deep Purple world that when Ian Gillan returned to Deep Purple, he refused to play David Coverdale era songs, so it was kind of interesting to see them all up there together. But it was kind of nice. They were all respectful to each other, and they all kind of gave nods to each other in each other's speeches. So that was all good to see. I remember seeing David Coverdale got to mention the Whitesnake guys in his speech. But it all seemed really respectful, they all kind of gave nods to each other, and they all respectfully talked about each other and talked about the formula of the band and how the band's continued on for so long. So that was really good to see. And then also the current lineup performed a short little set which included Highway Star and Smoke on the Water. So that was really cool to see. So that was kind of a recap of the 2016 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We're now going to go to another break, and I'm going to play excuse me, we're going to play a little bit of Work From Home by Fifth Harmony, and when we come back we are going to talk about all things Guns N' Roses. So that when we come back. Apparently, the only thing that needs work is the ability to play songs in this podcast. Anyway, back to the show. Okay, everybody, so welcome back to Selman's Sunday Music, and now we're going to move on to our final topic, which is Guns N' Roses. Now, I'm probably going to split this into two parts, and here's the reason why. because obviously I wasn't able to upload last week's episode, I wasn't able to talk about the Troubadour show that happened last Friday. So in this first section I'm going to talk about the Troubadour show a little bit, and then in the second half we'll talk about the first Las Vegas show that happened, because at the time of recording this, the second show hasn't happened yet. So next week I'll probably spend a couple of minutes talking about the second show, but it will probably be very reminiscent to the first show anyway. So let's begin this topic by starting by talking about the Troubadour show that happened last Friday. Now, there'd been rumours that there was going to be a surprise GN'R show on April Fool's Day, and there had been fans lining up outside of the Troubadour in Las Vegas on the in Los Angeles on the Strip, waiting for any news, and it was announced on April Fool's Day that there was going to be a surprise GN'R show at the Troubadour sometime after 11 PM that night in Los Angeles, and it was pretty exciting. I remember thinking, well, I was kind of shocked really, because I didn't think it was actually going to happen, but it was really, really cool to hear. And everything kind of happened so quickly that you didn't really have time to sort of process like your excitement for the show, because it was such a surprise. But that's kind of the off the wall nature of GN'R, really. So there's we'll start by talking about the set list of the show, which was kind of it was a surprising one. They pulled some classics out. So they started off the set with It's So Easy. And by the way, just before I go into the set list, Axl turned up on really good time, I think. So the flyer says sometime after 11 PM, and from my recollection, I think he turned up at 11:30. So, knowing his reputation, that's pretty impressive, if you ask me. So the set started with It's So Easy, then they went into Mr. Brownstone, and then the third song was Chinese Democracy, which completely shocked me. I did not expect them to play any Chinese Democracy songs. After the show, when I was processing it, I kind of thought, yeah, it does kind of make sense, and we'll kind of talk about, because there was no footage captured of them playing Chinese Democracy at the Troubadour, but I'll talk about I'll bring Chinese Democracy back up in the second half when we talk about the Las Vegas show, because there was a lot more footage of the Las Vegas show released. So the fourth song was Welcome to the Jungle. Fifth song was Double Talking Jive. They haven't played that since Slash was last in the band. I really do like that song. Sixth song was Live and Let Die. Seventh song was Rocket Queen. Eighth song was You Could Be Mine. The ninth song was Slash doing the Godfather theme song, going into Sweet Child of Mine. The 11th song was New Rose, which is a cover from the Spaghetti Incident. The 12th song was Better, another Chinese Democracy song. 13th was Knocking on Heaven's Door. 14th was My Michelle. 15th was Night Train. And then in the encore there was The Seeker, which is a Who cover, going into the final song, which is Paradise City, of course. Now, that kind of shocked me when I saw that. That the standouts were obviously Chinese Democracy and Better. I did not expect them to play those songs, but it's also nice to see some classics like Double Talk and Jive in there, as well, like songs that they haven't played since Slash was in the band last. So I thought it was an interesting set list. Another thing that was pretty interesting about the show was Melissa Rees. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. She's a session keyboard player who will now be replacing Chris Pittman. she, there hasn't been really any footage that kind of, at least in a GN'R scenario, that kind of displays her her ability on keyboards. But I would expect that Axl would only have the finest musicians in the band. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And finally, there was quite the celebrity turnout at the show. To name a few, there was Nicolas Cage was there, who I think it was yesterday got into a fight with Vince Neil, or what? Not a fight. It kind of, from the footage, looked like an altercation, but it was kind of interesting to see. I think Chris Brown was there, and also Bradley Cooper was there as well. So yeah, that was the Troubadour show that happened on Friday, April 1st. Great show, and actually on Friday they released a recap video that was made up of pro shot footage and audio, of pro shot footage and professionally recorded audio, and I sincerely predict that there will be a live album or DVD or both coming out in the future, which will be really, really cool to see. So we're going to go to a break. We are going to play let's see, we're going to play Cheap Thrills by Sia, or a little bit of it, and then when we come back we are going to talk about the Las Vegas Guns N' Roses show that happened on Friday night. So we'll talk about that when we come back. Yep, me again. You thought it was over, didn't you? Well, apparently not. Anyway, back to the show. Okay, everybody, so welcome back to the final part of Selman's Sunday Music. And for our final section, we are going to talk about the Las Vegas Guns N' Roses show that happened on Friday, April 8th. Now, before the show even took place, Axl posted on his Twitter account a video of a doctor talking about a foot injury that he had sustained, and we're led to believe that he will be in a cast for 4 weeks, and then they'll kind of see how he's doing from then. But that means that he'll be in a cast all the way through the next 5 shows. So the second Las Vegas show, the 2 Mexico City shows, and the 2 Coachella shows, he'll be in a cast for all of those shows. So it doesn't look like he'll be out of that cast and back on his feet again until the start of the official start of the Not in This Lifetime tour. So that kind of sucks, and that kind of made it really weird because he performed sitting down, and I can appreciate obviously the injury, but it was just really strange to see Axl just sitting down for the entire show. It was really fucking weird, but obviously he had no choice. Another thing, obviously Alice in Chains opened up for them, and they went off at about 10 to 11, but GN'R didn't go on stage until about midnight, I think, in Las Vegas, so a little bit later than he was at the Troubadour show, but not 4 hours late, so it could be worse, I guess. Still pretty shit, but again, could be worse. Now, the set list. Oh boy. I kind of predicted beforehand that they would pull out some of the songs that they couldn't play at the Troubadour. So, for example, a song like November Rain is an obvious one because, they couldn't fit the piano in the Troubadour. So the set list starts off very reminiscent to the the set list of the Troubadour show. Starts off with It's So Easy, going into Mr. Brownstone, going into Chinese Democracy, which there's pretty much footage of most of the show out there already. A lot of people were streaming it over Periscope as it was happening, so there is a lot of footage out there. It's not great footage depending on the source, but there is a lot of footage out there of it. So It's So Easy, Mr. Brownstone, Chinese Democracy is the third song, going into Welcome to the Jungle, Double Talk and Jive at number 5, and then went into Estranged, which was new to the set list, going into Live and Let Die, Rocket Queen, You Could Be Mine. Number 10 was New Rose. 11, a third Chinese Democracy song was added to the set list, which was This I Love. And I remember watching it live, and Slash's solo on it is fucking incredible. So check that out if you get the chance to. Number 12 was Coma, and it says here that this was the first time that they've played that song live since April 10th of 1993, which is fucking incredible. So then that goes into the Godfather theme, into Sweet Child of Mine, into Better. Then they went into Civil War, and that was another addition. Then there was an instrumental medley, which consisted of Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd, and a little bit of Layla with Axel on piano, going into, and that went into November Rain. Number 19 was Knocking on Heaven's Door. Number 20 was Night Train. 21 was the final new addition to the set list, which was Patience, and that kicked off the encore, and then to end the encore was Paradise City. So, that's a 22 song set list. If you compare that to sort of the early 90s set lists when they were playing stadiums, that it's not, in terms of numbers, that's not a big difference. It's actually very similar. They were playing between 20 and 25 songs back then, so this is very reminiscent of that. I'm really happy with that set list. There's a great mixture, and what I like about it is they've mixed the songs that everybody wants to hear, the songs that the diehards want to hear, and then kind of the stuff that they want to play as well. And there's just a great mixture of Appetite stuff, Use Your Illusion stuff, and Chinese Democracy stuff, because there was no way Axel was going to have this go on without some Chinese Democracy songs. So I think it's a great set list, and I would be certain that will be the set list for the entire tour, plus or minus a few things. Like, I could really see the instrumental medley changing slightly, but I would predict that the set list will remain that way for pretty much the entire tour. But that is a great set list in my opinion, and from the footage I saw of the show, which was probably half, I probably have seen footage from around half the show, Axel sounds really, really great. There is a common theme with Axel. He starts the show off fantastically, and then it kind of fades towards the end. By the time he gets to Paradise City, you can kind of hear some drops in his voice, but it's good that they get the really like ballsy in your face songs out of the way early on, because those are the ones that Axel really needs to nail, like It's So Easy and Welcome to the Jungle, just songs like that. They really need to be right at the beginning, where Axel's voice is in his prime for the night, So all in all, great set list, great performance, no special guests, just a great show, apart from the fact that it was just really strange seeing Axl Rose sitting down for the entire show. It was just really, really fucking weird. But apart from that, again, great show, great set list, and I'm looking forward to seeing footage from the rest of the tour, and hopefully the announcement that they're coming to the UK in 2017. Fingers crossed. So I think we're gonna wrap it up there. We're gonna play a snippet of the #1 single this week, which is I Took a Pill in Ibiza by Mike Posner. I want to thank you guys for listening. I hope I've made some improvements from the pilot episode, and I look forward to carrying the podcast on. So until next week, guys, I'll speak to you soon. Cheers. Yes, we made it. Episode 1 in the bag. Anyway, thanks for watching, and see you next time.